What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino here, and it's Thursday afternoon. And you guys know what that means. There's usually not any wrestling on, so we use Thursday afternoons here on Tino's Time to talk about baseball. And we're here for another episode of the Southside Boys. And the only thing I got to say, it's so much fun being a White Sox fan right now. Between the last week that has happened, you guys obviously saw on Saturday night, we were here live watching SummerSlam, and Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez decided to throw fists like it was SummerSlam, and it was like Diaz and Jake Paul. So we had that. And then Keaton Middleton came out and said and had some words about the White Sox culture. There was a thing that came out where Yaz apparently slapped Tim Anderson across the face. There's just so much stuff to talk about, guys, today. The White Sox are playing decent baseball. We got to get you ready for the Cubs and the Brewers series. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get the guys in here today. First, let's get Justin in here. We got my man. How you doing, Justin? Thanks for coming back. And
Good to be back.
How you feeling today?
It's been the least tumultuous day of the week for the White Sox, at least. So
I mean they're off today, so it is what it is. So this week, me and you, we won't have Deech. Deech is having a good time at a bachelor party, so hopefully Deech will be back. Deech, don't get too drunk, bro. We know how you like to get. So if you come in the chat, what's up? Appreciate you, bro. But we found a replacement for the week, and he makes some funny TikToks. He's got the TikTok game that nobody else has. He's been on the show before. So, guys, let's welcome Drew back here to Tino's Time, as he's here to help us cover the last week that has been the craziness between the White Sox and just I don't even know where to begin. Drew, how you feeling though today? How you feeling since last time you were on the show?
Well, I remember the last time before the show we were talking about a doubleheader and how the White Sox needed to win both games, maybe one game, and they got blown out in the bottom of the ninth, I believe, or top of the ninth or whatever. It was just terrible. But hey, I gotta give him some credit. My TikTok game is good, but no one's better than Missy Carroll and Southside behavior. That is the number one. I will not take that. I can't take that from her. She is number one. She's my number one. I just got to put that out there. Thank you for the comment. I just got to say that at least.
I get some of my inspiration from you guys because you guys are just great. They're just so funny. But
thanks, man.
I guess we could start. I mean, last week, I was saying, it was a beautiful Saturday night wherever you may be. We were watching baseball in Cleveland, and a double down the right field line seemed regular, at least to me. I was watching SummerSlam, and then I look over, and Ramirez is pointing in Anderson's face, and the next thing I know, Anderson is taking off his glove, and they throwing hands, and then obviously all know what happened there. So what were you guys? Did you guys watch the game, Justin? I know you kind of said you kind of like distanced yourself from watching the game. Were you watching it all when this happened?
No, but you guys, someone immediately texted, either you or Deech, and then I had another friend text like highlight of the season or something, and I was like, "What the hell happened?" So I flipped the game on, and they were like clearing it out, and then everyone. I went on Twitter and immediately saw everything. Like Tim Anderson just got a legitimate fist fight with Jose Ramirez. And then I saw the video and everything. And I mean, it was, I was happy that they hung on and won, because then I kept the game on. And obviously, and Cleveland rallied too. And you're thinking like, this is finally the backbreaker. They're going to lose the fist fight, and then they're going to blow the fucking game on top of it. So it was actually nice to watch them and have like, okay, now I want to win this game. And then they won. We haven't had much of that really since opening day.
Yeah, I mean, like you get, like we keep saying, we'll always have the night one in Houston. That was so great. We were 1-0, and everyone was like 162-0, and it's a good time. But Drew, what were you doing? Were you watching the game? Do you watch the game still, or have you kind of like distanced yourself too?
I still watch the games. I think what we had done, it was Saturday, so we were just chilling at home. I think my wife was on call, and so I was primarily taking care of my son while my wife I believe she got called in. And I went to go take a shower, and I'm like, okay, White Sox are winning. Cool, I'm going to take a shower. I come back, and it's just blow up everywhere. Everything from Twitter was just blowing up. I'm like, what happened? I have to go find it. My wife comes home, and I'm just like, oh, how do you have to see this? And she's like, there was a fight? And I'm like, yeah, and Tim Anderson lost. And she's like, oh, no.
She said
sarcastically, just because she's halfway a Sox fan. She's becoming one. But it's just it really is just the epitome of the Sox season is they try to put the gloves up, they lower their gloves, and then they get socked in the face. I mean, even though it was a blindside hit, Let's all be real. If you've been in a bar fight or a yard fight or anything that's happened in a group fight, people are just throwing punches left and right. So it wasn't like Ramirez knew where he was throwing. It's just everyone's throwing hands.
No,
So
I mean, because
it became bigger than everything. Yeah.
Kopech grabbed him and it looked like he was trying to like do because like he was looking down when he hit him and low key it was like that. So it was just one of those things. And it was just like I was a SummerSlam was on, like I was saying, and I'm watching SummerSlam. I'm trying to focus on SummerSlam because I'm trying to talk to the people, and all I can do is sit here and watch this. And like you guys, like I have the game on, but I really like have kind of tried to just not like get too excited or whatever. But like watching that was like the most fight that they've showed all season. And it was like, yes, Tim got knocked out. And those memes that they were showing between the wasted ones and the ones where the people had the stuff coming out. Did you guys see the one where he got hit and it was like Mario, where like if you get hit in the Mario and all the coins come out?
Oh, it was like Sonic Rings.
Sonic Rings. I saw that one. I was just like, this great. I was just like, I don't know how people do that so fast or even have the. I just can't. Like, it took me like 10 minutes to make the short that I made about it. So it was craziness. But as Justin said, they went on to win that game. First of all, that was a shocker because I was waiting for it. I was waiting for a blow up. I was waiting for some type of disaster, and it didn't happen. They won the game. I was like, okay. And at this point, I mean, wins really don't matter, as we are at the time. We were 14 and a half games out of first place. And it's not like they've gained so much ground, but it's funny in the last like three and a half days, they've gained 2.5 games. But again, I'm not trying to look at the stand. I'm just saying that, but it's just good to win sometimes. So they did win that game. And then the next day they went and Tim Anderson did not play. I got into a fight with somebody on Twitter I don't know why these people trying to argue, but I don't understand why Jose Ramirez was able to play, even if it was DH. I think both of them should have been out. I think neither one of them should play because I think it just, what if
I don't think that they told the Sox that Tim couldn't play.
It wasn't the Sox. It was just like they said it was a scheduled day off or something. And I mean, those happen.
Well, yeah, and I was going to get to that next. So it's like you guys beat me to it. But yeah, so it was a scheduled day off. And like I said, after that, it was like, okay, whatever. But it ended up either way with Jose being the DH. The third baseman ended up not having such a very good game. And the White Sox pulled off a game that usually happens to the White Sox. Yeah. They give up a couple errors, they score a few runs, and the game's over. The Sox did it to the Guardians. And the Sox took 2 out of 3 versus the Guardians. And I don't even care. I just like beating the teams like the Guardians, the Yankees, the Cubs, the teams like that. I don't care what the records are. Let's just beat them. I don't even it doesn't even matter. So after they go and beat the Guardians and everything like that, we're feeling good. 2 out of 3. And everybody knows on the Southside boys, we got Deech. Deech does the Keaton Middleton alerts. We've had Middleton. His mom actually ordered some Southside boys merch and stuff like that. So we've been kind of like, whatever. And he was traded at the deadline. And I've loved Middleton. I love the energy that he brought. He was on the team for not even like a full season. I really enjoyed him. But he came out and had an interview. Was it Jeff Passons? Is that
Jesse Rogers?
Oh, Jesse Rogers. Okay, that's who it was. And he decided to come out and say a few words about how people were sleeping in the bullpen. There were guys that the culture just was not good. It's pretty much a clown show ran by guys, and they're running the show, and it's just not a very good place to be. And they came out and said that this was happening last year. And then AJ Pierzynski was on his podcast, and he asked Lance Lynn, and Lance Lynn backed up Middleton, and it was kind of like, wow.
You have to explain how he backed it up. It was the best Lance Lynn thing ever. It was. I can tell you what he got.
I wish I could show
and then he got quiet.
I wish I could show
it. Tell us. Yeah, Scott Braun was like, just tell us. And AJ's like, I get it. And then it took Scott Braun. I love Scott Braun. I love AJ. I love that entire show. And it was just like they all took a second to be like, I get it. He's just silent. Like that was the best part of Lance loving it and him being able to be traded to the Dodgers. So yeah, I had to get that in there.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I wish I could show the clip because stuff like that would just make it so much better. But yeah, copyright issues can't do all that nonsense because gotta love YouTube. YouTube, fix your issues, bro. I would like to show some clips. But yeah, that was great. That just and it was one of those things because it was like I woke up and I try not to go on Twitter right away, but it seems to happen a lot with me because I'm trying, whatever. And all of a sudden it started blowing up. And then Deech went out and put a post and it got over, I think it's at like 40,000 views or something like that. And I've never seen like a post that we post before, and it just blew up and it was just going crazy. I was just like, oh my God. And it's just one of those things that he came out and he called the team out. And I thought the funniest thing still is about the guy sleeping in the bullpen. And then it comes out to find out that it's Gregory Santos. And Gregory Santos has been probably one of the decent guys in the bullpen. Shit, if I took a 20-minute nap before my show every time, I'd probably feel 100% every day. I mean, hey, if that's what works, that's what works. So,
siesta.
So I mean, whatever works. And they did come out and say that he has some type of right, the medical or something like that. I don't know what type of anything. So I don't know. But I mean, that, I don't know. But it just seemed like a lot of these guys, they traded Kelly, they traded Lynn, they traded, and then they come out and they say, and it's funny that you have your thing on there because apparently us Twitter is a bunch of proud cesspool members. And Rick Hahn went out and had his interview and he did all, everything like that.
Proud cesspool member.
Proud cesspool members. You gotta love it. But Rick Hahn went out and he said that he mentioned that Middleton wanted to come back and everything like that, but I doubt that's going to happen now. And he was obviously with the Yankees, and the Yankees were in town this weekend. They still have games to play. All this is going on, and we still have baseball to play. And they played good versus the Yankees. They came out on Monday and won, and I'm like, do not give me hope. I'm like, please.
Oh, Tino, they're 20
hope.
games under 5.
Yeah, they're done.
I know that.
They're done.
I know that. But
There's
and I said that to Deech. I was like, watch. I'm like, after the trade deadline, I think it was an episode or two. I'm like, watch, the Sox are going to go on some type of stupid run because that's what they always do. They always wait, and then they always have a little good run and everything like that. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, they're going to win 5 out of 6 or some bull crap. And then
that's why it became a joke that the Sox are back. Yeah.
Instead of, you should be worrying about the worst thing possible is for them to keep winning games. Like I said, I like beating the Yankees because I think it's hilarious that they are in last place and that they suck. They have a winning record, but they suck.
Yeah.
I hate them. They are my least favorite American League team besides Minnesota and Detroit. So I'm happy if they're not in the playoffs. Beating Cleveland's fun, especially after what happened this weekend. Yeah. And then it'd be nice if they could somehow beat the Cubs twice. They're not going to, but if they win these games, that's only going to make there be less of a need in their eyes for a shakeup.
Exactly.
Which is desperately needed. They don't need these lightning in a bottle guys who are like a Tuki Toussaint, who's obviously been solid. These guys, and that dude they signed today, and they're adding Honeywell, whatever. All of these guys think they have a chance to be on this roster on opening day in 2024, and maybe a couple of them will belong there, but it's more unsustainable options where if these guys finish strong. It happened with Elvis Andrus last year, and he's been good again recently. He came up and was so great in August and September when they got him from Oakland. I don't even remember if that was a trade or if Oakland just cut bait with him.
I think
he was DFA.
Yeah, okay.
He was DFA.
Yeah, and so they brought him in, and he had a good couple of months, and then all of a sudden, he's opening day second baseman. It was him, right? And he's playing all these games, and he's taking time over. I'm not going to get into that with who should be playing second base in these meaningless games, but the thing is, he had those good months last year. They bring him in this year. I think he's going to be a major part of the team, and he has a very bad year because he's old and he's he's way out of his prime. So they don't need that to happen here. With if one of these pitchers or a couple of them show you something that's noteworthy, you take that on and maybe potentially next year, but they have to rebuild a starting rotation. And I'd hate to see them kind of go with internal options at 2 of those spots. I do think, and it's controversial. Apparently I don't, whatever. At this point, you have to try to pick up Clevenger's mutual option for $12 million. I mean, that's for what he's been this year for them. He should be in the rotation next year, unless they're going to spend serious money on, a Blake Snell or a top of the line guy out there and keep one of these other guys, but they're not going to do that. So, that's how I feel.
Well, you get into the financial part of it, and they also have a major decision with Liam Hendricks. That's the other thing that's been buried in all this, is that Liam Hendricks, with the Tommy John surgery, he's basically done for 2024, and he's just going to be paid to sit in rehab. And if he gets cut, he gets Bobby Bonilla money, to where he gets paid $1.2 million. I think it's for the next 10 years or 15 years. I can't remember what the details are, but they have so many different money options they have to figure out. Tim Anderson, are they going to pick up his option? Are they going to sign him and then trade him? What are they going to do with the rotation? Yes, Clevenger is very controversial. Not a big fan of Mike Clevenger. Not a big fan of anything that he did. But the stats don't lie. He's pitching really well. Starting pitcher number 5. Now he's starting pitcher number 3. But the rotation has been singing pretty well. Jesse Schulten's former Fort Wayne Tin Cap, as I say, Fort Wayne together. Former Fort Wayne Tin Cap Jesse Schulten's been pitching really well. Touki Toussaint's been pitching really well. The only question is, we get more questions than answers with this team, and that's why I said in my tease today, the White Sox are the most confusing team in Major League Baseball. We always thought it was the Pirates earlier on in the season. They were really good, and then they just turned to crap. Now the White Sox have just been crap all year. They go all the way up, down, all the way up, down. It's just been this way since I've been a fan, since I was a little boy. This team, there's no higher high than winning the World Series, and that was when we were kids. But now there's no higher high than what are we going to do with all these kids who are playing? Are we going to find out what we're doing? And the fact that Elvis is still on the team, he's playing really well. You have to figure out what you're doing with these young guys. You have to see who's going to be your second baseman of the future. You have to see your catcher. Yaz is going to get DFA'd. They've been talking about this for left and right, especially now.
They've been talking about this since like the beginning of July.
Well, that's because they got Corey Lee. They got 2 catchers in the minors. Corey Lee's going to come up. They got to figure out what Seppi Zavala. I think he is also a free agent. If not, he has one more year. But I love Seppi Zavala, but you got to figure out what you got in these kids. You got to let the kids play.
Yeah. Zavala, I think it's sorry to interrupt, just on Zavala, he's a backup catcher. He is what he is. His problem is the lack of availability of the starter. The starting catcher has really made his issues a lot more glaring and a lot more on the forefront than they would be for a backup catcher. But I still think it should be Lee and Perez next year. Mm-hmm. Right? That would be what I think the catching tandem would be.
Or right now.
Right now.
Seppi's not healthy. Shut him down for the rest of the year. Get him healthy towards next year. He's second on the team in defensive runs saved, which is mind-boggling of a stat of just how defensively
behind only Robert?
This team is. Yeah, behind only Robert. Robert's number 1, and Seppi Zavala is number 2, which is a really scary thought. But you have to see what these kids have. You traded for Corey Lee. He's been up with the Astros. Sadly, the Astros are a winning organization. Whether they cheated, they did, or not, they are a winning organization. They know how to win. They've had veterans. Let's bring Corey Lee in and see, just listen to him. I know he's a kid, but he had to have seen something.
Yeah.
Not going to be a savior, but
that's well documented on this show. So I'm all for it. I like going and getting a guy who's been there and knows how they do things. And it's especially a catcher, too, someone who plays such an important position and can actually, someone's got to be a voice in the clubhouse. He's not going to step in and immediately be that guy. But like you said, if he knows, if he's a smart player and can just lead by example by going out there and making good decisions and doing the little things, that's a start, because we don't seem to develop guys who do that shit. So.
No, they don't know.
Plus, another underrated person in this whole thing was Andrew Vaughn. That was when he grabbed Tim Anderson. Yes, it's leadership by example. Leaders are not made; they are leaders. And I think Andrew Vaughn showed in just that moment of him grabbing Tim Anderson. Yes, it's his boy. He's helping him out. He's stopping him from a fight, stopping him from doing any more. He couldn't really do much, but Andrew Vaughn had the wrath of God around him. He was just wrapped so tight. So, you got to give Andrew Vaughn some credit. He wants to win. And, even if you look at the team's RBI leaders, it's Robert and Vaughn. I think it's Robert and Vaughn going back and forth, but I think it's only 60, just a little less than 70 RBIs. It's August. You should have more than 70 RBIs if you're hitting as many bombs as Robert is having.
Well, no one's on base. I don't really fault him for that. If he didn't have the, he's got the fucking, 30 doubles on top of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable. That's just unbelievable in the sense of how few the RBIs are, because that's over 60 hits that, if anyone's on base, produce runs.
And I wasn't dissing Luis Robert. I was just saying I know it shows about everyone else on the team.
Yeah.
Plus, did y'all see how far that ball that went out of the stadium last night went? 472 feet out of the stadium, foul ball. 472.
I saw
he didn't even swing that hard.
Oh, he makes it look so easy sometimes, and it's just like, and it's funny because like yesterday, him stealing 2 bases in a row, it was like, yes, he left the game and whatever, and he should be fine. I saw something that he'd probably play Friday, if not Saturday. But it's just like
they always say that.
It's always day. I always want to say, are we all day today? I mean, it's just everybody. It's always day to day with this guy. This guy leaves, we're day to day with this guy. It's just like, come on now. But Luis Robert has been the one thing that it's been at least fun to watch. I mean, there was one game this week. I think you actually got a point for the picks to click because he was the only one that scored the run. It was just like he's like woohoo. Luis Robert has been fun, but going all the way back to everything that has happened, we were talking about catchers and everything. You guys said Perez. Which Perez you guys talking about? Salvador?
Carlos, not Salvador.
Carlos.
Not Salvador. No, Carlos.
I know. I just wanted to mention that because I saw that.
No way.
Chuck and Ryan were talking about it today. I was just like, that's so funny. I'm like, just imagine. I was just like, I can't. Like,
if no one listens to Ryan McGuffey go off about this team, he is White Sox Twitter. He is so everything that we are for.
He talks for us.
Is so vocal. I love it. I love his passion and how pissed off he is because we're all pissed off.
Yeah, he's been really good these past couple of weeks, especially with all of this as the wheels have really come off the wagon.
Yeah. And and the other thing that what came out too, and Yaz came out and denied it, but apparently Yaz and Tim got into a fight and Yaz bitch slapped Tim, and Tim said, if you don't want to be here, get the fuck out. And hey, if you don't want to be on a team, then don't be here. Like, I feel like, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. And if that's the problem, like, it is what it is. And the report that also came out was that they named 3 guys being the problems, which was Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, and Yasmani Grandal. I could definitely get Yohan, and I don't know about Eloy because I feel like Eloy is like a good, but Eloy is a disaster. I mean, Eloy got injured during the. I was like, of course he did. I was like, of course. I was waiting for him. The IL 15 days. So. It is what it is, but that's like the thing, like we were talking about, like there's something needs to be shaken up. If it's trading, like Ryan and Chuck were talking about, just eat the money for Moncada at this point. Like, obviously this is why the Red Sox got rid of Moncada and all the other reasons why we've talked about on the show before.
You can't go that far ahead. No. Moncada was the number 1 prospect in baseball. They had Rafael Devers and Yohan Moncada. They had to make a decision. And obviously they made the right decision, but Yohan Moncada was a can't miss prospect throughout all of baseball, and the White Sox were.
Yeah, but you don't think though that it's just a little coincidental that they just dealt us 2 dudes who clearly just aren't fully ever there mentally when they're on the field, at least at very, very rare occasions. Good organizations identify that shit, those problems. I think they knew that they were giving us damaged goods. The Red Sox didn't make the prospect rankings. I mean, I know it's easy to say, I know what you mean. You can't just be the Monday morning quarterback. We were all over the moon when we got Moncada and 2019 and thinking that was just a sign of things to come. Absolutely. But in terms of just his attitude and his approach to the game, I think that there's certainly a chance that they sniffed that out. He was ranked number 1. They kept Devers instead of him. I think that is what you need. Like, they knew that they had the better player in Devers just because, again, this like good organizations identify that. And I'm sure, I'm not saying that Rick Hahn didn't go try to get Rafael Devers. Maybe the Sox saw it too, but
the Red Sox said no.
You also have to think, I mean, I'm going to give you Moncada a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I've had a back injury. I've had a lower back injury. You cannot do jack with a lower back injury. You were literally on the ground crying in pain because it takes everything out of you. We all saw The Last Dance. The last episode of The Last Dance, Scottie Pippen was a shell of himself, couldn't do anything. So the lower back, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for that. I was a big Yohan Moncada defender, but I don't think this team is going to do anything to get rid of Yohan Moncada. They would have kept Jake Berger, which still pisses me off.
I wasn't happy about that.
I was, because I mean, and I mean, I like Jake Berger, and I've been trying to keep up with his stats. Like, if you guys look at the stats of all the guys that the Sox have gotten rid of, it's kind of funny that Lynn has been the best one and Lopez is right there. Giolito hasn't been very good. Berger's had that 1 home run, but he's batting 169. And it's like maybe some of these guys just are not good. And it's funny because I saw the report that apparently the Sox tried to give the Marlins Eloy. Marlins didn't want Eloy. So they obviously
they had the jam in the outfield too, is another reason too.
Well, yeah. So, but I was like, dang. I was like, we tried at least. So, I mean, that's the one thing I will say is it's like these guys have went, and obviously maybe it will take a little bit more time to adjust. But, I mean, it doesn't look like the Angels are making the playoffs. The Angels have won 2 games, I think, since the deadline. Marlins are, whatever. And it just seems like, we see this with teams every year, and it just so happened the Sox sold the most players, it seemed like. But it seems like a lot of these teams do this where they try to go all in and then they go on this awful. And we talked about it. It was like, I think you said it, Justin. You were like, hopefully the Sox don't think that they're in and then they go shit the bed. They shit the bed before the deadline. So it was like they didn't have the ability because that's the thing where it's like we could have been playing good and maybe we had this type of a thing, but I don't know. So
I'll just say this comparing Lynn and Gio. You say it's surprising for Lynn. The big difference between the two of them is Lance went to a team that consistently makes their players better, good at being baseball players. And Lucas Giolito went to pitch in Anaheim. They haven't developed a pitcher. I mean, you have Ohtani, but Ohtani.
You know
what I mean? Like, I don't think Gio went from working with his high school pitching coach, who clearly had him back to doing the basics and all that. He's a solid pitcher this year. To he's out in Anaheim working with guys who don't have the best track record working with pitchers. So I'm not too surprised by that. Just based on that.
I
did think Lance was cooked because he didn't have anything on his fastballs, but Dodgers are magical miracle workers.
Too bad. We need to find some of that magic somewhere. I don't know, man. I don't know where it's gonna be.
But hey, we're back to prospect watching. Yay!
Oh my God!
You guys might be. Video. I won't be paying attention to any of that stuff. I won't be paying attention to anybody until they're at the big league level. That's a promise I made to myself this time around. I can't do it.
And that's the biggest.
I'm gonna know who the guys are and everything, obviously, but
and that's someone who lives in a baseball city where minor league baseball is king. I love going to go see these players and the minor league players.
That's
the sad part is I watched Tatis when I moved here. Tatis had gotten traded. I was like, oh, cool, I get to watch Tatis, and I got to see him his whole season in high A baseball. I was like, this is who the White Sox got rid of.
They got rid of this guy.
And then a month later, full rebuild. So I don't know.
It would have been nice to have around.
Should we just go back to 2016? I should just go back to college real quick because that's what I was doing when they started this in 2016. So
no, I don't want to go back to 16. I'm married. I'm happy. I got a kid. on the way. I'm happy now. I'm okay. I got things to look forward to.
He said I'm good. He's like, I'm good. I mean, and Justin, you're absolutely right. That's how I feel too, where it's just like they said this with Moncada, they said this with everything. And until they prove it, like Frank said it on the post-game show, the quote for next year should just be knuckle up and just shut up and just go out there and just prove it.
But they don't have guys who have that attitude.
They need to get
they're going to compete in 2024. They're going to compete is what they said. They're going to compete. They're going to do everything. Ryan McGuffey said it best. They never completed the dang thing. They never signed the big player. They never signed the Bryce Harper. They never signed the Manny Machado. They never spent the money that they needed to do. Yes, they spent the richest contract in White Sox history is 5 years, $75 million. One of three teams to never give a $100 million contract: the White Sox, the Oakland A's, and the Kansas City Royals. There's your situation.
Why did you just have to do that? Why'd you have to do that, Drew? That just makes that.
I have to be honest because the more I think about this team, the more it angers me to my core.
Oh my God. That's why days like today where we just vent about it and they don't play, it's like good. That's why I was happy at least they won, because it's like I want to win at least the day we come the day before we come on or something, just like have something to talk about sometimes. But it's just one of those things I just don't even know. And it just it makes me so mad because this is not how it was supposed to be.
It's not, but they got exactly what they deserved. I mean, like Drew just said, mentioning Frank's comments on the post game, they never finished it off. It was never like they got their asses kicked by Houston, did nothing to get better, went 500, did nothing to get better. The only legitimate, they had okay off seasons leading up to that, but they missed out on their biggest one, which was when they could have had a chance to get Harper or Machado. They didn't do that. Then, you go and add the luxury closer, after 2020, but that's not necessarily something you pay for unless the rest of the team is where they need to be. And, they were a good team in 2021, but I actually was thinking about this the other day. I find it funny how are we going to look back on this team? Because the only guys on that team who are still revered are like your Brian Goodwin, Billy Hamilton, like the Ryan Tepera, like, the guys who didn't stick around for the disaster after, and so many of the other guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Brady's a different conversation, but like so many of these other players have just soured in the eyes of Sox fans. Like Yasmani Grandal, he was so good in 2020 and 2021, and like such a big part of the reason those teams were good. And he's gonna get if he gets DFA'd here, and the ending is gonna be did he slap Tim Anderson? He never was healthy. His legs sucked. So I was thinking about the legacy of that team, and like when they bring back. Like on the 10-year anniversary or like a few years ago, they had the 30th anniversary celebration for like the 93 AL West champs or whatever.
Oh my God.
Whatever. It was the 25th in 2018. That's when they did it.
Yeah. Now it's 30 years.
What'd you say?
Now it's 30 years.
Yeah. Yes, but it was 25 because I'm looking at the pennant right now. From when they did, yeah. But the bottom line is, it was 25 years from 2021. Is that team being celebrated? Is anyone going to come out and celebrate those guys, or have they just soured on everybody? And then other thing, when you're talking about like coming out with that fire, I don't know. Did you watch that video? I think it was some account. I think it might have been Comiskey Scoreboard or something like that. Tweeted the sequence from the ALDS game 2 against Boston, like leading up to Gucci's home run for the lead. And it was like
I was at that game. I
was too. That was my first playoff game ever.
Wow. Same. My own second. Go first. Yep.
Great game. I was 8, so the memories are, I remember like the home run and everything. But watching that sequence, and like it starts with the AJ ground out to move the guy to third with 1 out, and like he's jacked up coming off the field, he's clapping. They played harder. That group of guys just had an edge to them and an attitude that like you watch this group and it's just the exact opposite. Like I feel like those players resonated a lot with Sox fans and with the organization, and it wasn't there with this. They just kind of tried to fucking throw it together with these prospects, and there was no actual culture. The only culture was that these guys were all highly regarded prospects coming up together. There wasn't like they built the team poorly. They really did everything wrong. And again, this is another one where it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, and hindsight's 2020, but like they just didn't go about it in a great way, and a lot of chances I had to go in another direction, and they just rode with this and are still for the most part riding with it. I mean, kind of just
and that's kind of like it's just one of those things where it just like this is like it's just completely like falling off, and all of these guys are like like going to like the Cubs just announced like their fan fest. The Sox probably aren't doing Sox Fest again because
there's
they don't want to face
no chance they're having Sox Fest unless they fire Rick Hahn and Pedro Grifol. Like I'm serious. Like unless they can sell.
He doesn't want the cesspool there. He doesn't want all the lifeguards, all the deep sea fishermen. He doesn't want any of us there at the cesspool meeting. That's what they would name it, the annual cesspool meeting.
Yeah,
and it's just so sad because it's just one of those things like all of us getting together, especially like now, like that. Like I know a bunch of you guys. Like it would be so cool, and that we could all like actually hang out and talk and not be on a camera or on Twitter or whatever. And it's just sad that this is where it's gotten to, where Rick is a disaster, and it's just like the interviews that he comes up with and he has, and it's just like, what are you doing? And it's just like, and then he was asked if he resigns, and it's just like, well, we're going to wait and see. And then Pedro came out and said these 2 months are very important for the next whatever. And it's just like, well, where was this like in April? Or were like, did they need to get into a fight in May or June to get all their anger out? Is that what this is? They've just been building it up. But it's just like you said, like watching these guys play baseball. Moncada walks up, he strikes out, and he does this. It's just like, okay, well then why don't you try to hit the ball? Yeah. Or why don't you
looking at two strikes?
Like if I have to see these guys go like this with their this or that, it's just like, guys, like we're frustrated. We're watching you. We spend our money. The poor 108 people are at the games all the time, and it's just like they have more fun throwing on Uncrustables than watching these games. I mean, it's shit. Like
It is a fun
very
time getting an
entertaining
Uncrustable thrown at you. I will say that. It is a fun
hey,
time.
those Uncrustables are life, bro. I mean,
My wife
I live
enjoyed that
off
when we
those.
were at the game. She's like, they threw peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm like, yeah, they do. And she goes, you better get me one. She ain't running. I got her one.
I mean, but it's just one of those things. It just makes me so sad and depressed because this is not what it was supposed to be. This was supposed to be where we were winning championships and the parades and the rings, and that's just not where it's going. Like you said, we're on prospect watch again. So that is the one thing. The Sox are now in the teens of prospects. They were, and I think they were like 27 or 28 or something like that. So
Now
again, with their prospects, we did get, they got 4, I think, in the top 100 and everything like that. So that was good that they hopefully do what they have to do. But again, they haven't proven that they could develop these guys. And that's why I'm worried. But it just like we were talking about the catchers, get rid of Yaz. Let's bring up Corey Lee. Let's do whatever and let's figure it out. Because a lot of these guys in the bullpen, I will say that is the one thing I've kind of enjoyed watching is seeing these younger guys. Because like the couple of the guys that pitched in that one game, like seeing him have his first career strikeout, or that one guy that had 5 strikeouts in 2 innings, it's like maybe some of these guys can build and be a part of it. And maybe this is the biggest thing. You don't have to spend for bullpen. Like you shouldn't go out and spend all this money where you could use it towards something.
That's what the trade deadline's for.
Yeah,
take arms of people. Yeah, that's how you do the trade deadline.
It is amazing that every fan and every other organization can figure that out. That the bullpen is the last place you spend money. That you're good all year if you're good everywhere else, and then you make yourself a legitimate championship contender, adding an arm or 2 or 3 at the deadline.
Yeah.
And again, I'll always remember Bobby Jenks wasn't even the closer in 2005. Bobby Jenks wasn't even. Like, it's just one of those things like you don't know. And it's just what, I mean? Like Chris Sale closed out a game. I mean, you know what I mean? There's guys that could figure out a way to, you know what I mean? It just, I don't even know. So again, they are what they are. It is what it is. Do you guys have anything else about all the craziness that's been going on? Did I miss anything? I feel like I got most of it. Did I miss any of the interviews or anything else?
You missed the part about last night where Keenan Middleton's name was not shown on the Jumbotron or any of the graphics.
That's right.
But then the Sox said it was an error. But we all know it was. Yeah, I don't.
I'll believe it. I was waiting for Deitch's Keenan Middleton alert, and he didn't. He texted me. He texted me, and he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna do this." I'm like, "Well, okay, that works." But yeah. That's right. I did forget about last night. They did, like I said, we did win 2 out of 3 versus the Yankees. So I mean that's always good. But I mean, you know, again, the Yankees are in last place. They have a good record, but they're not a good baseball team.
Aaron Judge and the Judgettes. That's all they are. Aaron Judge and the Judgettes.
Yeah. Watching Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton play baseball is like when they are bad, they're bad. Like these guys were like bad. Like I don't like I was kind of worried yesterday that they would like before the game started. I'm like, Lewis is gonna have a great game, and he just got shelled. Like I was like, did the Sox really just win 9-2? But it's just one of those things. It's like we're winning, but it's just like it doesn't even matter. And it's just like, like Justin said, we're 20 plus games under 500. So yeah, that is right. Middleton, our guy Middleton, they didn't show his name. They didn't do anything. It literally said blank. That's right. It said blank. It wasn't even anything like that. They didn't want to do anything. And I saw something. I don't know if it was true, but they were saying something about how they like treated him poorly and everything like that. I don't know. I don't really want to get
into about daycare. It was. I think his wife went on Twitter or something and said that something about daycare. There was some issue with that. I don't know enough about it, but I saw the reports. I was like, yeah, this is just getting worse before it gets better.
I don't know, bro. People started taking the Southside boys tweets and they're taking screenshots and posting it as their tweets. So I don't know, but I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything. So all of a sudden our Twitter's gonna blow up and it's just gonna be like I'm just gonna be like wonderful. So
yeah,
but that's right. Was there anything else? So I want to make sure I got it all. There's just been so much that has happened. I'm just like, damn, like I can't keep up.
A whole season of storylines happened in 3 days, 4 days.
It was 72 hours.
Saturday
like
through
you could do
Tuesday,
a documentary on this shit.
Saturday, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Documentary on this shit. 30 for 30. The hell of the 2023 White Sox. So.
And we all thought last year was worse. That's the bad part.
Me and Deach talked about it all the time. We were like, next year is going to be great. 81 and 81 is the worst. And then we got Justin over here. That was all offseason. Just like, what do we do?
2 years ago today, well, they lost that game. But 2 years ago today, I was in Minnesota watching them the first place White Sox. They kicked their ass the first night. They lost today 2 years ago. But yeah, it just makes me miss it, man. Like I've been to 2 games this year. I went to more different stadiums to see them in 2021 than I've been to total games this season.
I think you've been to more Cubs games than that, right? This year, too.
I've been to Wrigley like 6 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's embarrassing, dude.
Did you say first place though? What's that?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like anymore. First place.
I forgot. It was a good year. I'll always have the moment of jumping up and down in my room when they finally won the division. I screamed so loud, my mom came downstairs, said, "What's wrong?" I said, "The White Sox won the division." She said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I was like, "What don't you understand?" And
I still remember waking up my wife and my dog when Tim Anderson hit the walk-off of the Field of Dreams. And I just kept screaming. And I ran outside, and that was the Larry home run were peak.
That was the
White
pinnacle.
Sox
That was the moment.
Yeah.
And it makes me even more mad because I have all their bobbleheads and all the ball signs, like all the baseball signs. I have a couple bad signs. I'm just like, I just don't even like want to look at it anymore. It makes me sad. And all these guys are now going to be gone. I'm like, well, that was fun. I'm like, do I want to get a Dylan Cease bobblehead because they're going to trade him, or what are we doing? I don't know. So, but there's still baseball to be played. There's still more games to be played. So I feel like we've covered everything. I'll get to the chat. I'm not going to forget. Last week, I forgot to go over the chat. Everybody's like, you try. I was like, oops. I'm like, my bad. So I'm not going to forget. But let's get through the games that they have to play because they go this weekend and they play the Milwaukee Brewers. And then next week, we have a 2-game series with the Cubbies, Flubbers, whatever you want to call them, the Northsiders. I don't really care. So I'll start with you, Drew, because obviously we're going to see Schultens, we're going to see Cease, and then I think we're going to see Kopech too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, Drew, I'll start with you with this series. How do you feel about the Brewers series, and what do you think? And do you think the White Sox keep this up, or do you think this off day is going to kill all the momentum they're about to get swept in versus the Brewers?
I've made a point now to where I don't care wins or losses. I'm not going to predict wins or losses. I'm not going to bet on the White Sox. I'm not going to do any of that. So I'm just going to say that it's going to be a lot of heartbreak for both teams because the Milwaukee Brewers, they always have a good team, and then something always falls off in the playoffs. I love the Brewers. I really want to go see their stadium. I was supposed to go in 2020 for a bachelor party. Couldn't go because, COVID. And so I think they'll lose 2 out of 3. I think then they lose both games at Wrigley. I think the main event that we need to be previewing is the sell the team, big sell the team night weekend series, whatever it is, against Oakland.
Are you talking about the day they're giving away the Dylan Cease bobblehead that I just mentioned? Is that what you're talking about? With this
there's 2 days. The 24th, which is Thursday, there's one, and then a bunch of people are going to the 26th game. My brother and I are going because I wanted the Dylan Cease bobblehead. The Chicago Sports Bums, shout out to them, are having a tailgate, one of their whiskey at Comiskey. So I was going to go there as my last game of the season. And if they made the playoffs, cool. Just trying to figure that out. But just trying to enjoy the reverse boycott will be my favorite thing. Just go there, have fun. See everyone
Thursday or Saturday?
There's one Thursday, but a lot of people have been calling Saturday as a reverse boycott as well. So it's weird.
I don't know how even big of a crowd they would get for a reverse boycott on a Thursday. That's kind
of what I was thinking about.
Yeah,
too,
they should just do the Saturday game. Why the fuck would they do it twice?
I don't want
to step on any toes. I know that it's
no. I
get
it.
A sensitive place.
Yeah, but just
that's
all I want to say on that.
You can't say nothing.
And they got Oakland, right, for those games. That's why.
That's why it's Oakland, because on every road game for Oakland, they want them to do a reverse boycott, sell the team chant in the 5th inning. So in the 5th inning, I'm going to be really excited for that. Just to be like, oh, we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, most other teams are talking to A's ownership. Sox fans are going to be talking to our own ownership.
It's going to just be a giant ballpark of sell the team.
Oh my God. That's going to be great. That's just so sad that this is where it's gotten to. So, but I feel like you're right on that. So, Justin, what do you think? Do you agree with Drew to lose 2 out of 3 and get beat by the Cubs?
I think they'll beat the Brewers 2 out of 3 and lose twice to the Cubs, so that everything goes as well for the Cubs as it could. The Sox will help them out this weekend and then help them out by losing to them at Wrigley next week.
Of course, that's how it always
feels like the way that it's going right now, right? So I'll probably stick with that.
I had somebody in the beginning of the year offer me. He was like, "I'll bet you the Sox are better than the Cubs," and I was like, maybe. And
I'm not a significant amount of money because of wagers with friends on bets like that. And I didn't want to take them, but you gotta step up to the plate. I mean,
I was happy
I didn't love it.
Oh, the Morales came out and he said the Cubs are going to the playoffs and the Cubs and this and that, and it's just like how did the Cubs do a rebuild in a year and be this good, and it's crazy how good they've actually been, and it's watching good baseball sometimes is why do the Sox make it look so hard? Watching the Orioles or the whoever play baseball, and it's just it's not that hard.
I get so jealous watching the Orioles. I get so
the
jealous.
Orioles young guys
so
care
fun.
and they play for each other.
Well,
That's
exactly.
the difference between their core and whatever you want to call what we had.
Oh
the
my
exact
God.
opposite of that. I won't point fingers at any individual. It's just how it worked out.
Yeah.
So, and that's the biggest thing where just you know what I mean? You were talking about AJ and the fire that he has and everything.
Yeah.
We've seen it a few times from a few players, but it's just nobody is going in there. We don't have that grit and we don't have that and it's just it seems like everybody's not playing for each other. And it's the fact that Berger came out and said he's having the most fun that he had in one game in Miami. And it's guys continue to say it. It's well, then what is it? What, So again, that's a big question they have to figure out an answer. But as Justin likes to say, Justin, I hear your voice in my head all the time, bro. Just don't let this team ruin your day or week or anything, because as I love the White Sox, but it just it's like you said, Drew. It's this. It's like a goddamn roller coaster, and I just can't get off of it. I just want to get off. Let me off. That's why we need football. Football's gonna be back in a few weeks. I can't wait.
3 weeks from Missouri Tiger football. 3 weeks from tonight.
you pulled that off real quick,
right?
I did. I had the hat ready. I'm ready
hey,
for football. The Colts suck too. Colts suck too.
We got fantasy. There's other things in football that, it just that's the one thing I always like to say. It's the Bears might not be good, but I got fantasy. I got a few other things I do. So it makes it fun. And, so you can't wait for that. Lions and Chiefs going to be a good one. And I don't know. The Bears have a lot of high expectations. I don't want to get, I say I'm not getting my hopes up too much, especially the way the White Sox have done it. Chicago teams always let us down. So they need to put it on the field and everything like that. But I will be
Hard Knocks on Tuesday.
Huh?
Either of you watch Hard Knocks on Tuesday?
I have it on my list. I did not watch it yet. How was it?
Good. It was good.
Yeah, I watched it. It was
Aaron
really
Rodgers is fantastic.
Is he?
Wildly entertaining, yeah.
Oh, and it's funny because it's just you can see that, and it's just maybe you know what I mean? It's I kind of like Rodgers now that he's not on the Packers. It's that's all it took was him to leave the Packers. Now it's just
I'm not a Bears fan, so I never had any issue with him. I think he's funny, but you never seen him. The way he is on this though is just really paints him in a good light.
I'm gonna have to watch.
Plus, then we get him for the quarterback show on Netflix the whole season. He's one of the quarterbacks. I'm
is he really?
So excited about
yeah,
I started Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, and Aaron Rodgers are the three quarterbacks. I'm ooh, it's gonna get spicy.
Oh, true. Yeah, because I just started the one. I literally got 5 minutes into it and I fell asleep last night. It was Kirk Cousins talking, and I was I fell asleep. I woke up. I'm I didn't even get through 10 minutes of it. So,
I love Kirk Cousins after watching that show. You're gonna respect Kirk Cousins more. I'm so
waiting until Madden comes out. I want to play Madden and watch it. I don't know. I need to get in the football feel. I don't know. Madden is the one thing that will get me into it because it's finally. So that comes out next week too. Speaking of next week, for everybody in the chat, we got 11 people here right now. Tino's NFL schedule will be coming out next Tuesday. So get ready for that as we announce what we'll be doing here on Tino's Time for the NFL fantasy football and NFL season. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I'll say the Sox. I'll get back to the Sox before we start talking about. I'm getting too excited about football now.
Things that actually make me happy.
Yeah, right. I'm
getting so excited about football. A few weeks into the fall and all the different conversation.
I know, right? Hey, that's so. But yeah, I'm gonna agree. I think best case they take 2 out of 3. Worst case they take 2 out of 3. And I'm just praying they beat the Cubs. I just hate the Cubs, and I just don't want to listen to it. I already got all my friends calling me saying, "Ha, the Sox lost, blah blah blah." I don't want to listen to it. So I'm praying that they win too, but probably not. So I don't know. But again, as you guys have said, we've talked about a lot. Wins and losses at this point really don't matter because it's if they win, what are we doing? They really ain't going to go nowhere. and they lose, so I feel like it's like a lose-lose either way, because it's like I want to watch good. Honestly, I just want to watch good competitive games at this point. Let's see what these guys got, and let's see, what we have and what will go down in 2024, because I think that's we're going to contend, right?
They just put out a tweet about 30 years from the 93 team. We were literally talking about that earlier.
They dropped a whole highlight video. I was watching it while I was at an appointment today. It was like a whole highlight. Defensive Robert Ventura highlights. Ozzie Guillen catching the ball barehanded and throwing it. Frank Thomas bombs, winning in the ALCS. It's all Michael Jordan's fault. They lost that. It's all Michael Jordan's fault. If you go back to it, Michael Jordan retired, and they lost all the momentum. It's all MJ's fault. I'm kidding.
My God. All MJ. MJ, it's all your fault, bro. You just brought the Bulls 6 championships. Imagine if Jerry didn't not get imagine how bad the Bulls organization would be if Michael Jordan did not win all these championships for us. I was thinking about that. I was damn, Jordan, because Jerry, because obviously if you don't know, you should know that Jerry does the Sox and the Bulls if you are from Chicago, or if you listen, I feel like a lot of people, but if not, and it's just the Bulls are the same way. So it just I don't even know. Basketball's a different story. But the fact is that Jerry Reinsdorf just hates, and he does not care what, and that's going to be a big question is Pedro one and done and everything like that. And obviously it will be seen in what will be done. But I think a lot of these stuff also that everybody wants to be done won't happen until the end of the season, because Rick keeps saying whatever. And, after he called us the cesspool, it's well, what do you want us to say to you, bro? You just don't like us, obviously. And I get that we're not the best sometimes, but listen to your fans. We're the ones that go to the games. We're the ones that sit in these seats all over. And I mean, the outfield looks like what it's going to look like in the rest of the year, because, yeah. And
I remember early on in the season where he said the people I talk to say that we're doing a good job. The people I'm talking to, I don't know who you were getting all these negative comments from, yada, yada, yada. But everyone I talk to says we're doing a good job. And I'm just like, is that a mirror?
Is that a mirror? That's funny.
Remember when it was in Han We Trust in 2018 and 2019?
I had the 2020 where it was 20. It was the World Series trophy. It was a 2, and it was the World Series trophy as my background on Facebook for a year. It was 2020, here we come. And then it all went down. I remember telling my grandpa, being Grandpa, just wait until Moncada, wait till Robert comes up, wait till all these guys come up. And it's just well, it was funny. He hit, because he sadly passed away now, but his favorite guy at the time, because he hated him so much, was Lori Garcia. He's Lori can't do nothing. I'm just well, I'm wait,
legend.
I'm we're going to have this guy, that guy, and it just all went downhill. And this was before 2020 and everything. So they didn't even do it. It was just so. But, yeah. So, I don't really know what else, there really is to say. But we got another week of White Sox baseball, sadly. So, at this time, let's do what we usually do to end the show here before I get to the chat and we talk about puppets. Let's do the bold predictions and guarantees. I know, maybe whatever. But, Justin, let's start with you. What do you got for this week? Come up with something crazy.
How can you even guarantee anything with this team? I guarantee you that we're still going to be miserable next week.
Next episode 22, guys, we're still miserable.
And my bold prediction, I'll say over these next 5 games, Andrew Vaughn hits 3 home runs. I don't know why. I'm feeling good about it.
I like it. He has been on fire lately. That's the one thing I will say. And I heard Chuck say it on the podcast today. He said that the fight brought this team together more than it ever has. And it's well, why, where, what, okay, sure. I don't know, whatever. But I don't know. But that's the thing. I want to see Vaughn and just, I just want to see him. I don't even know. But Drew, go ahead. What do you got?
Craziest thing that's going to happen, I think Luis Robert's going to hit 6 home runs. I'll just say that. Luis Robert hits 6 home runs. He hits one over the concourse on the Wrigley, on whatever street Wrigley's at. So I'm just going to, he'll play.
He hits the Kyle Schwarber home run.
Yeah, he pulls a Jose Abreu and hits, I think it was 5 home runs against Wrigley in that 3-game set. So I think Luis Robert goes off, catches Shohei Ohtani. That's going to be my it's gonna happen.
I think he could. Honestly, if we're watching anything, that might be the one thing we watch the rest of the year, is to see if Robert could get to Ohtani. Because the fact that Robert's, I think he was number 4 in the MVP voting, I think I saw for somebody, or I don't know if that was MLB or what that was. So Robert's been like the only thing left to watch. So, what do you got for the guarantee?
My guarantee that someone will be hurt. Their feelings will be hurt in the White Sox organization.
Oh, that's just a fact at this point. I mean, come on now. So, last week I said that my bold prediction was that Jake Berger or Trace Thompson would have a better stat line than Jake Berger. Well, that didn't happen because Jake Berger hit a home run. So, whatever. But I will say that. No. Okay, well, no. How long? How many more games he's got? What, 4 more games? Tim, he won't come back till after the Cubs series, right?
He's appealing.
Last night, yeah. I mean, he's been playing.
Yeah, he's appealing.
He didn't play last night. No,
he did. Yeah, he did.
Did he? Last night. Yeah, he had an RBI hit. Yeah.
Did he? I thought they said that I swear, I thought they said that he started serving.
He was going to be suspended, but then he appealed it so he can play while he's being appealed. Gotcha, so maybe so that's Pedro served his.
Yeah, okay, I knew that. I was just
appealing his.
Sometimes watching the wrestling and the game at sometimes I don't even look at who the lineups and stuff. I'm just looking at seeing. So I didn't even realize. I thought he was serving his first game. So I will say that Tim finally hit his first home run of what was it, like a week and a half ago or something like that. I'll say Tim has a grand slam. I will say that's my what? I mean, hey,
grand slam. Okay.
Gotta be bold out there, man. I try to say some crazy things. You never know. Hey, if you say it and it happens, I say it all the time. My preview shows for wrestling. I'm like, I say, something happens, you just gotta say it because you never know. And I will say my guarantee is they will at least win 1 game this week. Hopefully, because let's just win 1 game at least. So. I mean, I don't really know, but I mean, I feel like it's been a pretty good venting session so far. It's been good. So now the last thing we're going to do here is go through the chat real quick. There's not too many, so we'll do this and then we'll get going. Drew, I want to say thank you for taking over for Deech this week, bro. I appreciate it. Helping us out.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We got Jadis in the house. What's up, Jadis? Eric says Luis Roberts called Fight Night. Bro, I don't know what was on Saturday. Literally, I'm watching SummerSlam. Brock and Cody are fighting at the time. And then I got Jose and Tim. I don't know which one was better. I don't know which one to watch. I'm just like, guys, it's Fight Night in Cleveland. Let's go. Drew, I appreciate it. Hit that like button if you have not yet. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet, guys. We are only 18 subscribers to 1,200. So go hit that like and subscribe button. What's up, Joe? Do you guys all do? This is a good question. Do you guys think Hahn gets fired? I'll say, okay. Do you think Hahn is the GM by the start of 2024 season?
Yes.
Honestly, no. Just because I don't know. You have to believe in something, I guess. I won't be surprised if he is. I mean, it's far from a guarantee. That's a tough question. I mean, something needs to change.
Yeah,
they've tried changing the manager several times, and that hasn't proven to work at all. So, I mean, at one point, Jerry, you can't even convince himself that he's trying to win if he continues doing this. So, I think it's more of a toss-up than some people might give it credit for. They won't. The problem is Jerry will never do anything like that during the season. So,
no,
people who are like. You're almost just waiting for it now because of how bad things have gotten, but it's not going to happen. But they'll move quickly after the season. It's like last year, you all kind of figured La Russa was on the way out. I know he had his health problems, whatever.
Hope he's doing we can go into that's a whole nother podcast topic. Is Jerry Reinsdorf's stubborness.
But
I think Grifol gets fired.
I think they both go. If Hahn picked him, I think that you're not going to hire a new GM and force a manager on him. It wasn't established at all.
Well, exactly. Did you guys see
hire a new GM? I mean, Chris Getz, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, shit. They've been talking about that for years. It seems like that's what they wanted, and it's just is that gonna work? I don't know. I just don't trust. I have trust issues with this team. That's my problem. I don't trust these guys. None of them. Were you gonna say something, Drew?
No, you're good. I was just saying the next comment is about: do you think Grifol and Hahn get fired? And
so I mean, and
that's too much job security.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, obviously, it seems like the way Pedro is talking that he's going to be here next year. So I don't know. So it just, again, it's not going to change until they actually do some type of like crazy overhaul where we come in with a completely different team, because this team's just not working. They don't mesh well together. They got a lot of great talent, but these guys just don't play well together. They would be good on all, like, you know what I mean? They'd be good on teams that like they don't have to be that guy. And I think that's the problem, is like, you know what I mean? Like we were talking about.
You mean like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan?
Oh my God, bro. Let's not, that's all. That's all.
Man, there's a reason.
Oh, there's a whole, oh my God, anxiety. Were you, Drew? I saw you answer this. I'll answer. What were you guys? Do you guys remember what you were doing the last out of the World Series in 2005? I remember.
I mean, yeah.
I jumped into my dad's arms. I remember jumping in my dad's arms as a kid. I was just like, this is awesome.
Oh my God, I just remember standing in my living room watching the last out and then hearing the horns beep and the fireworks go off. Oh my God, it gives me chills just talking about it. I was like 10.
Yeah,
I'm just like, bro. Oh, gotta love it, man. Oh, the good times.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, maybe we'll see. We'll see if Deech comes back next week. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's Deech. I've noticed a few times Deech hasn't been on the show. We've done a good week. We've had a good week. Maybe it's Drew. We got Bolg. I don't even know.
Baloney. It's Baloney. It's Mr. Baloney, Peter Fonseca, my boy.
Hey, what's up, Baloney? Thank you, Peter, stopping by. I appreciate it, bro. He says, what's up, boys? 2019 Moncada was the future. Unfortunately, the future is dysfunctional hellscape of 2023. Don't even talk to me about Moncada. I'm so mad. I have a Moncada Southside jersey.
He's right.
A Moncada signed bat. Moncada's, it makes me so. I have so much Moncada stuff. I want to just get rid of it all.
He's the only like real like Nike White Sox jersey I have. Like I have him, and then I have like a current guys, and I have a Kopech that I bought off of DH Gate or whatever. That's fake as shit. But like
he said, fake as shit.
Yeah, I certainly wanted that jersey to work out a little better than it has.
Gotta love it. We got the Real Fresh in the house. What's up, Real Fresh? Thank you stopping by, hanging out for a little bit. The only thing this season Tino has enjoyed was the fight. Jadis was here with me on Saturday. He was like, bro, why are you getting so excited? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, this is the most fun I've had as a White Sox fan all season, watching these guys fight. And then they actually won the game. I'm like, this is the best. I was just, sometimes something happens, you know. And listen, that's what you get with the live streams. You just got to watch sports. I guess. Got some wrestling stuff. Cincinnati Reds were another one. What happened to the Reds? The Reds were on fire, and then the Reds just all went downhill.
Back down to earth a little bit.
Pitching.
Back to the pitching.
Bullpen pitching.
It always goes back to the pitching.
With Tino and Deech. That's funny.
And then Drew, you could take over for Jerry, and then Justin, you could take over for
sit and smoke cigars and not listen to anyone.
For Charlie Mantoria.
Charlie Mant.
There you go. You could be the bench coach.
That'd be great.
Imagine, that'd be so fun. You guys watch the Patriots, and is that the first hall or the first
no, the Hall of Fame game was Jets Browns, so I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just happy football's back. I will not be watching
any preseason football except for Anthony Richardson. So that's all.
He said Anthony Richardson, bro.
The short I can't even believe that for me is no. I will not be watching the Patriots and Texans tonight.
Yeah,
I'm just happy football's back on, and I can actually turn on NFL Network, and they're talking about something that's not from last year. Chris says, yes, we know, Chris, the Cubs are in second place. Thanks for reminding us. Why you got to do that? We got Justin Lee in the house. Drew, any lucky findings? A third?
I don't understand this comment. Justin, I have no idea what you're talking about. Any luck finding a third for the bedroom? I have no idea what that joke is about. That was weird. I didn't understand it.
Okay, then. He said, race to tank for Chase Burns. Who? Is this the number one prospect in baseball? Is that who he's talking about?
Yeah, he plays at the University of Tennessee.
Okay.
20 years old.
I don't keep up too much on all the younger.
He's a pitcher.
Guys.
Good. The last pitcher they took from Tennessee worked out really well.
Derek Crochet is great. I love Derek Crochet.
I'm not doubting his ability. I'm just think it's incredible that he came up throwing 102 and now tops at 97 and he's never healthy. I think he was really fucked up after that playoff game in Oakland, and they didn't think that they had a choice but to go into the season with him on the roster in 2021 because they just taped it up, and that all of a sudden this dude. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? I talk about this sometimes, and other people don't seem to be as amazed as I am. I mean, he threw 102 when he came up consistently in 2020.
Yeah.
Then it's 9. Then he gets hurt, leaves that playoff game in Oakland, and then he's fine. He'll be here for the start of the spring training, and he's throwing 97, and then he pitches through it in 2021 effectively because he still has good stuff, and then he's pretty much been hurt since.
He had to have Tommy John surgery, and I mean Tommy John zaps a lot of your power and a lot of your strength. So I mean he's got to get that back. He was rushed back just like Liam was rushed back, and so that's why he's injured again.
That's this year. I'm talking like.
I know
the fall off was before, like in velocity at least, was before Tommy John. I mean, he could end up still being a serviceable pitcher. It would be a stretch to say it's worked out, though.
No. I mean, what has worked out? I mean, honestly, like it seems like nothing has worked out. Like we just like I was thinking about, I'm like, I feel like we have all these great players, and then we all see them go succeed somewhere else, like Abreu possibly being in the playoffs, or Sal winning the World Series, or even like when Maglio was traded, like all the way back then, or like you know what I mean? It just seems like every time, like we build a guy, like they say they develop guys, but they have guys that are talented. They show what they're about, and then they just go to different.
At least we won the year. We won it at the year they got rid of Maglio. But yeah, I mean, he went to the division and had many more good years with Detroit.
Well, yeah. I mean, that Detroit team was so frustrating. But speaking of a guy that was on Detroit, goes over to the Phillies and gets traded at the deadline and comes out and pitches a no-hitter in his Vans. Hey, I mean, Michael Lorenzo having himself a day.
I like this comment. Very, very matter of fact.
Gotta love it, man. I mean, hey, they're always. I always like watching like the last 3 outs of those. Eric says his bold prediction is Hahn or Grifol will be gone, and someone's feelings will get hurt. Probably
either they're both going or neither of them are going.
Yeah, well, that's
not gonna be like Hahn can't just fire this guy who he hired a year ago and put like his faith behind when everybody knows that it was his handpicked guy, and Grifol's not going to be around for a new GM. So either it's just going to be a total flush, or we're going to be running this back again next year.
Running it back? We back
in its entirety, yes.
And Bakken says the last comment says Sox had a squad 2 years ago and messed up when they signed Tony La Russa from the nursing home. I mean, I just feel like a lot of like they've mentioned it where Rick Hahn wanted to hire a different manager. Like I just wonder what it would have been, and would that have made a difference if they did go and maybe hire an AJ Hinch or somebody else at the time that would, Bruce Bochy, whatever. I don't know. So lastly, what do you guys think about that comment? And then we'll get going here.
I don't know. I'm no La Russa apologist. I get accused a lot by people with pea-sized brains that I'm this big La Russa fan just because I said in the offseason that I didn't think that replacing him was going to I thought he was a scapegoat. I mean, I have no problem saying that. And it's very obvious now that he wasn't the biggest problem. He wasn't even close to the biggest problem.
Well,
he still won the division in 2021 they had tremendous pitching in 2021. Could they have gone further in the playoffs with AJ Hinch? Probably not. Could they have gotten past Houston if AJ Hinch was their manager? I don't think so. So La Russa's gone. Did it maybe take a little bit of the swag and energy out of the team that they played with in 2020? Like, yeah, a little bit, but like everyone puts a little bit too much stock in it. They were 35-25 in a 60-game stretch, shit their pants in the end of that season. By the way, they ended up seed after
they barely made it
to clinch. And and they were playing with juice balls, and it was summer, and they're flying out of the park, no fans, no expectations. So I think people put a little bit too much into that season, and like, they were ready to do all of this in 2021. Well, they did win 93 games. Those guys didn't stay healthy because they had to play a full season, not 60 games. So it's a very long-winded answer, but I mean, you could do a whole podcast on that. It was hiring La Russa was a mistake. I don't know if it's been the mistake. There's been a lot of mistakes.
There's a lot of mistakes. That's just a pile on.
I agree with you, Justin. It's not all Tony's fault, but he's not blameless.
No, not
I
at all.
mean,
Nobody
I mean,
is.
you think of how it ended 2021. They had the best record in baseball, I think, in the middle of July. Went towards the All-Star break and then just went downhill. And they did the same thing they did in 2020. They didn't finish, and it just goes all the way up to the top. It's the entire organization. They just need to clean house. Yes, Tony maybe gets a little bit of redemption, cool, because of all this crap that they've been dealing with. But Tony is not at fault. But Tony is not the whole problem.
Yes, I completely agree. He was a problem. He was not. He made some bad
One
management.
of 100 problems doesn't make all the problems.
There's someone on Twitter I won't name names. Tino, you probably can decipher though. Told me dead honestly that he cost them 16 games last season, and told me that I clearly wasn't watching if I didn't feel that way. Bro, there's no manager in baseball history who has been impactful enough to swing 16 games.
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
season. Basically, you're telling me they would have won 97 games last year with a different manager. Bullshit. Like,
I mean,
they didn't hit home runs
games,
last year.
maybe.
They didn't do anything well last year.
Yeah.
They don't do anything well this year, but like,
and that's the thing. And like, even like the stat that they have where the Sox strike out, they need to stop striking out 14 guys in the game because they can't win a game. 0-11, and then the other teams are like 150 and 20 or something. So it's just that I guess it's just the White Sox way. That's I don't even know. But
that's a perfect way to end it.
Watkins,
I was going to say perfect way to end it.
Get out of here with your Dylan Cease to the north side. Get out of here with your nonsense.
Give us Pete Crow Armstrong to start, and then we'll work from there.
He said, "Hey, I mean, I see you with the mustache. You trying to pull off the Dylan Cease mustache, Justin? What you got?
Yeah, it's a direct inspiration from Dylan.
I mean, hey, that works. So, but yeah, guys. So that's all we got here, Drew. I appreciate you coming on. We'll let you go eat dinner. Sorry about going over.
No, you're fine. You're fine, guys.
Justin, I appreciate you coming back. We'll see you next week again. Drew, thank you for taking over for Deech. Have you on maybe one last time before the season ends? Maybe like a season end recap. Get as many people or something on. But
you want me to recap this trash of a season?
Yep. We'll recap it all, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else. So, guys, that was episode number 21 of the Southside Boys. That's all I got here for you. So go follow all the social medias. Go do all that good stuff. We will be back here live for Friday Night SmackDown. So, guys, thank you all so much. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and finally turn that notification button on so you know when we go live next. So, guys, have a great Thursday night. And I'll see you back here tomorrow night on Tino's time for Friday Night SmackDown.